Hey everybody, welcome back. Today we're going to write reusable JavaScript with functions. Now this is something that is going to become super valuable. You're getting an introduction here, which is great. So try to internalize this as much as possible. In JavaScript, we can divide our code into reusable parts called functions. Functions are the core of JavaScript. Here's an example of a function. You've got your function. This one's called function name, which is a terrible name for a function. But you can just, all this does is say hello world to the console. This should just say, the function should be called hello. And you can call or invoke this function by using its name followed by parentheses like this. So function name, function name. It'd be better if that said hello, and then you would run that here. Let's see what that looks like. We're going to write it over here. We're going to say function hello is equal to console.log. And then we'll just say hello world here. So, and then if we, and now what we're going to do is just invoke that function. And to do that, we're just going to say hello. And then hello world is here. So it's coming off of here. Now, another way I would personally do this is I would just have this return hello world. And then I would console.log hello like that. And that would get you hello world as well. Hello world here. Hey world is coming from them calling the function up here, our reusable function. So first off, if we run down the list right now, it's setting the function is equal to our reusable function. We're logging out hey world, and then we're invoking that function, so we're calling it. So as the interpreter runs down, it saves this function to memory, and it says, okay, if somebody does our reusable function, we're going to log hey world. And then here we're calling that function. So it's going, okay, so here we're saying hey world. And then so it's running here, but it's calling this function. And then coming down here, we have another function called hello, which saves here. Now it doesn't do this or return it, but our next move is to console log, and then it runs hello. Hello comes out to the string because it returns the string value, and that's why we get this in the console. So each time a function is called, it will print out the message hello world on the dev console. All of the code between the curly braces will be executed every time the function is called. So all the code here will be function. So you could also console.log in here. This is another string. And you'll see that this actually pops out here as well. So this is just the way that functions work. Now functions can be very, very large. So I'm just doing this to sort of point out the way that functions are used. So we want to create a function called reusable function, which prints out hi world to the dev console. And then we also want to call the function. So let's get rid of this. This was all an example. So the first, we want to create a function called reusable function. So to do that, we're going to say function reusable function. That's going to take parameters. We'll leave the parameters empty for now. Okay, so we've created a function called reusable function. This is the way that you create a function. And then we want it to print out hi world to the dev console. So here we're going to say console.log, and then in parentheses, because we want it to read out, and we want the console to read out a string, we say hi world. And then we want to call the function, meaning we go reusable function, and here. Now, putting the parentheses at the end and just calling the function like that, this means that we're saying, as we run down the interpreter, right, this one is defined, and then this one is called, and then this one is defined, and then this one is called. If you weren't, do I have an error? Okay. What was that? Oh, I misspelled reusable. So yeah, hi world is now being logged to the console. So if we run the test, this should pass. Reusable function should be a function. Oh, I misspelled it. And then we want to call it after we define it. Okay, great. So I hope that this helped. you want to, I guess the main takeaway from this is that you define functions like this, and then you call them like this. Let's say another one. Just for example, let's say function add 1 to, and then if you wanted to just create a function that would just added 1 to a number, you would say, well, yeah, you could say number, add 1, my number. And then you could say my number plus equals 1. And then if you were to say, come down here, you could say, a useful number is equal to 22. And then you could say function, or you can say add 1 to a oh, this is Ruby, sorry. A useful number. And you add 1 to a useful number. And then you console.log a useful number. You should get 22. And then you need to write. Yeah, useful. Okay, so this is another way to use functions. Now they're saying they can be reusable, right? So here what we're doing is we're saying this is the way to pass the tests. But here I'm kind of going into greater depth. I'm saying we're creating a function that adds 1 to a number. We set up a useful number, which is 22. When we say a useful number is equal to add 1 to a useful number. So what we're doing is adding a useful number, and then we're putting in the function add 1. So that makes it so that my number, we're returning my number plus 1. That gives us 23. So what we're doing is adding 1 to 23. This is how functions, reusable functions, work. This is all just me trying to go more in depth. I guess it became a little tricky. I'm not sure that was the best way to do it, but as you can see, this actually passes the test. So I hope you found this useful. If not, please let me know in the comments, and I can kind of go into greater detail on reusable functions, because this is a very important thing. It's used all over programming. Functions are probably the background of all programming. So getting a good understanding of this at its core is really useful. Hope you guys found this useful. See you in the next lesson.